Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today, folks, bringing you another great product by a company I've reviewed over the years. We've been working together for quite some time now, and the company is Sofabaton. And today we're going to talk about their newest release. This is one of their universal remote controls called the X1. They're brand new, fresh to market universal remote. So what's really cool about Sofabaton is every time they come out with a new remote, not only do they send it to me, but they're constantly making improvements. So this is really the best one they've come up with. Obviously, it's the latest and greatest, but Sofabaton originally came out making remote controls that were designed to be used with a Fire Stick. So they were add-on remotes you would basically just clip your Fire Stick remote into, so you'd have some of your major, most important buttons, volume, channel, on-off, right, attached to the remote. Still a great product. I use mine all the time, especially for my hot tub TV. It's great being able to have everything just right there, because really the only thing I'm really using the TV features for when I'm using most of my TVs is really power and volume. So great addition if you are a Fire Stick user. This is for everyone else. This will do everything. So again, the box, not really going to show you guys too much of the box, but let's talk about what you get. You get the base station here, or what we'll call the hub, the remote control. Let me put it upright. Remote control. You do get a couple cables here. You get a couple infrared, and I haven't really dove into this too much yet, but these are a couple infrared remote mounted sensors, right? So if you're going to tuck this somewhere, let's say behind your TV, which is what a lot of people do, especially if you're wall mounting a TV, or if you want to try to, let's say you have a wall cabinet or something where you're hiding the device, this will allow it to still send the signal using a wire here. When I look at the back of the base station here, there's 1 and 2. Now again, I haven't dove into that too much yet, because for my purposes, I'm not really going to be using those things, but it is an option if you are, again, trying to hide this somewhere. Perfect example would be if I was going to use this from my upstairs bedroom TV. All my components, everything, the 5.1 Dolby Digital System, DVD, everything is basically in an adjacent closet. So the only thing I got is the TV on the wall. So anytime you want to use the 5.1 system, you're going to want to have something to get the signal into the closet. Now, most of the time when I am watching that TV, I will actually keep the closet open a little bit, I can kind of point the remote at the crack in the door and still get the signal in there. In the past, I've actually used a device called the X10 Pyramid, which is basically a infrared to RF sender. So what it does, you point your remote at the infrared sensor, it transfers that signal into an RF, it beams it into, let's say in my case, the closet, or sends it to the closet, and then that signal is retransferred or translated into infrared and then sent to the components, right? So this, I'm probably going to use this downstairs because I have more components downstairs, but it may be something I move upstairs, so I will use these remote sensors at a later date. You do have a couple wall mount spots in the back here, so this is great if you are mounting this behind a television. You can just basically pop that right on the wall, and of course, again, the remote control and your instruction manual. Now, this is basically Sofabaton's answer to, or device to compete with brands like Logitech and the Harmony Elite remote controls, which are going to run you about $519. Price point on this is super competitive. When you're looking at a remote control that does this much, you're looking at $151, and there's a 10% off coupon going on today. So that is part of Prime only deals, or what they call Prime Day deals. So it might go up in price, but just kind of keep checking back. Link, as always, is in the description. And of course, I might put a pop-up in the upper right-hand corner here. So let's talk about what you get with this. So basically how remotes like this work in a nutshell is the remote communicates with the base station or the hub, and then the hub actually sends a signal. So wherever you put this, you're going to want to make sure that you can put this somewhere where the signal is going to be able to be sent to your components. The cool thing about this is once you have this set up, you don't want to have to point the remote at the television. So this is just cool if you kick it back, laying in bed, laying on the couch. You don't have to every time put your arm up and point it at the TV. Now, is that really a big deal? Not really, because most of the time, force of habit, we're so used to doing that. Even I find myself with like Bluetooth remotes actually pointing at the TV still, because we're so conditioned to use infrared remotes. So, but it is pretty cool that you don't have to point at the TV. And this is great if you have a situation like, let's say you're here, you have a home theater room, and you're actually going to be using like a projector that's behind you, or components that are in maybe a built-in wall cabinet. This is going to be able to be mounted somewhere. Definitely something you could mount, let's say, you know, if you have a theater room high in the back of the ceiling, basically somewhere in front of your components. And that's where these remote sensors, remote, no pun intended, these extra sensors will come in handy. If you have this tucked away in a cabinet somewhere, you can snake these out and have this still be able to send and receive your signals to your components. Remember, these two things communicate via RF. I believe it's RF. Not sure exactly what protocol, but there's no line of sight necessary. With the remote control, very similar if you look at brands like the Harmony. I can't believe they charge that much for their remote. The Harmony remote, $519. Pretty crazy. I'm sure there's other competitors out there, but a lot of money for a remote control. With this, I mean, the price point's amazing. Very similar design. You have your power button on top, a back button. You have this kind of roller ball right here. And what this does is when I press this, let me just go ahead and hit the home button. So because this has got a nice big display here. Now you're going to see no activity, and the reason for that is because I don't have the base station plugged in. These things work together, so you have to have the base station plugged in so it knows, you know, what components you have programmed. I've already programmed in every component I have downstairs, and it's great in my case because I'm using some older. If you haven't checked out my home tour videos, I basically have two TVs in my living room. I have an on-wall 70 with a Vizio Dolby Atmos soundbar, an NVIDIA Shield hidden behind the TV. Then in an in-wall cabinet adjacent to that, I have a 48 Roku TV, and then a full 5.1 Dolby Digital on-wall system. Basically, long story short, I didn't just decide to have two TVs. I had the 48 originally, and I wanted to have it in the in-wall cabinet, but as TVs became cheaper and got larger, I really wanted something that was a little bit larger, so I went with a 70-inch TV. But I still use the 48 when watching like a Pink Floyd DVD or whatnot, so it's great to have a remote that I can control all these different components, whether it be an old-school Kenwood receiver. I'm using some of the really old-school, high-fidelity 1996-ish VR series receivers. I love it. It's one of the, in my opinion, the best looking receiver ever made. But you know, you are limited to the remote it came with. So it's nice that I can program a lot of those functions into this and allow this to be able to work with everything. What's nice about it as well is that this will actually learn code. So if by some chance you have a component, maybe an off-brand, whatever it may be, that you have the original remote and you can't find the code for it, this will actually allow you to program it. You basically just fire the infrared signal when it's set to learn into the base station, and it copies the signal. And you can program these buttons to your heart's content. You have a couple blank buttons on the bottom here. You can program into, you know, whatever you want. And then of course you have a button on top. Now I will state that their button on top, they labeled it off, and this is the one thing that, not a huge deal, but that really annoys me with this particular remote, is because every remote control, for the most part, on Earth has a power button. It's not labeled off. And that's what I assume is what this button's for. I believe you can program this to whatever you want, but off button should not be labeled off. It just is mentally a little confusing because you're so used to seeing a standard power button. So what I did is I programmed the red button down here as my power button, just as an extra, you know, just to, I don't know, mentally we're used to seeing that red kind of symbolizing on off, right? Or power. Off, you know, it's confusing. This is a really small nitpicking gripe, but I'm actually going to try to scrape that off just so it's just a standard button, because it is just kind of annoying. When you roll the wheel here, this will allow you to go through, and I'm sorry you guys can't see this because it's not plugged in, but you'll be able to see all your components. You'll give your components a name, and then you basically just scroll through and press, and then that basically activates the remote for your component. Again, no line of sight. Click the button, and this will send the signal. Let me read to you guys exactly what it says off their website. And this is the Amazon listing as well. What's also pretty cool about this, before I read this stuff, is that this device is really easy to program. No more picking up a manual, trying to find the 4-digit, 5-digit code, testing it. This basically just will allow you to cycle through the different codes it recommends, test them, and you do everything through your phone. So the phone, Sofabaton app, communicates with the device itself. So basically, let me open this up here so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about here. And what's cool about the Sofabaton remote is that, let's say you have, you know, you get a different remote. Maybe you have one remote, this remote for one room, and then one of their less expensive models for another room. This will allow you to use this app with everything. Let me just log in here. Oh man, I got logged out. Let's see if I can log in. I don't think I auto-saved my password. Nope, I forgot my password, so I'm not going to be able to show you. But anyway, Sofabaton app will basically allow you to basically select your components, select the button, and then it'll just basically program the remote for you. Really straightforward. And just, again, reading you right off the listing here, it says control most devices like magic. Obviously, we're not going to give you the whole sales pitch. But this is also compatible with the smart home assistants. Now, I haven't put this to the test yet. I have used similar devices in the past. I just never really used voice control for anything really more than lights. To me, I'm not really a huge, believe it or not, I have, even though I have tons of, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 TVs in my house. I believe it or not, I don't, at this point in my life, really watch TV all that much. There are times where I do. Winter times tend to be a time I watch movies and a lot more broadcasts and stuff like that. But I've never really found it necessary for me to actually have my voice assistant turn on the TV, because it's just so easy for all of us to pick up the remote and turn it on. The only advantage I could see to having the smart assistants being able to work with this is that there are times, let's say we've had a power outage, and sometimes these components, when the power comes back on, they default to on. So for my Vizio TV, if you turn off the power to the house, the TV will default to being on. What's cool is that this basically kind of adds some extra features to your smart TV, where I can actually just go into the, even if I'm not home, I can go into the, we're not going to say her name, the Smart Home Assistant app, and I can just basically send a signal to turn off those components if I'm not home. So pretty cool. And that might be something I experiment a little more with down the road, but cool thing is it will work. The other neat thing about this is that this is Bluetooth compatible. So for instance, if you have like for me, I use the NVIDIA Shield. Other remotes that were universal, I'd always have to have like one remote for soundbar, one remote for TV, and then when I had universal remotes, I can combine those two. But then if it wasn't Bluetooth compatible, I'm still using the original remote. What's great about this is I can just scroll through, select NVIDIA Shield, and then this will work with the NVIDIA Shield or any other Bluetooth device. So that's fantastic. Also, there's other components I have downstairs. So like for instance, I have all my components, of course, but then off to the side of that, I have a wine bar, and I have a Bluetooth synced sound bar that's connected to one of my smart home assistants, and so this will allow me to select that and use one remote for everything. So you guys get it. It's pretty common sense. What else about this? Let me read you exactly what it says here. It says here it's compatible with over 500,000 devices from over 6,000 brands. Again, really nice. I know I've had remotes in the past where, there's only so much they can put in a manual. So with this, it's really great that, their database is constantly being updated, and you can really find the proper code to make this work with almost any device. I mean, I can't imagine it's not working with everything, right? Now, there is one thing I wish they would add to this, and this is something I hope they add in the future, is that it would be nice if this could control radio frequency devices. So, for instance, I have outside some Costco string lights. They work off a radio signal, and I've had remotes in the past that allow you to copy that signal, because the remote control, sometimes, they do fail, and it's nice to have a backup. So if they, hopefully on their next generation, they allow this to not only be able to learn codes, but learn RF signals as well. That would be great, because if you make it broad enough, you'd be able to turn on or off, let's say, some of those kind of plug-in Christmas boxes, those kind of old school smart boxes to turn RF devices on or off. There are devices I have around the house that are a lot of LEDs, like the inexpensive strip lighting, that use RF signal to change the color, turn them on or off. So it would be really great to be able to add that to a remote like this. So maybe down the road they might add something like that based on my recommendations, right? You're already getting a lot of bang for your buck. Why not include the RF signal as well? Let's see here. You can create customized activities to control your home entertainment. It says here, for example, simply tapping customized button movie even can turn on your TV. So what they're talking about is macros. I will say macros, I had a hard time setting up, and I haven't messed around with this enough to set up the macros. But what they're basically saying is you can set this up with the smart home assistant to say, hey, you know, let's say it's movie mode. You'll give the command, and then your smart home assistant will communicate with this and then turn on the TV, turn on the sound bar, turn on the DVD. It'll go through and cycle on all these different components. Again, haven't messed around with it too much, but I will mess with it at a later date. But you have the ability to do that despite me having a hard time setting it up. Let's see here. Again, download the app, very simple. You can set all this stuff up. It says here you can do that through the app. The hub, it says strong and stable signal. It has 360 degrees of signaling and long range send. And what else here? It says it works with, you can control devices hidden behind the cabinet door, what I was saying earlier, with the 2 wired IR transmitters. So I believe they give you 2 so you could actually, you know, these probably both send and receive. So this is great. So if you have multiple components, maybe you have these in a cabinet where you don't have a lot of room in front of it, you can stagger these around your components to still be able to get that signal. Now, I'm not sure if this thing, I believe you would probably stick this somewhere where, I'm not sure what the line of sight is on this, if it's sideways, but if you're sticking this next to the infrared receiver on a component, is it, you know, will it broadcast forward and back or like bouncing it off the cabinet? Haven't really put that to the test yet, but I'm sure it works fine. Let's see here. And again, it'll work with the, we're not going to say her name, the Alexa voice control. They don't list Google Home, but they do show on one of their pictures, Google Home is listed as one of the smart home assistants that it works with. So that's really about it in a nutshell. Right now you get 4 stars on Amazon, 608 ratings. That's a pretty good review standard. Anytime you get over 4 stars on Amazon, you're getting something that obviously people like, and you have a decent amount of people actually, you know, doing the reviews on this thing. It does say maximum range is 40 feet. Other cool thing about this is that this is actually USB-C connections on both devices. So of course your base station you will leave plugged in, and of course your remote you have the ability to charge this. So really nice. I'm so annoyed with having to change batteries all the time and things. This is great. I can just plug it in and charge it. It is a lithium-ion battery. So that's, I mean, really about it. Very simple, easy to use. I like the fact they kind of took I think they kind of took, in my opinion, the Fire Stick remotes and basically just kind of, you know, implemented that into their device. Very similar cursor wheel or cursor selection device. Very similar buttons. You know, if I looked at this and somebody didn't tell me, you know, who makes it, I'd almost think Amazon made it. So very cool, a lot of thought. The only thing again I would change on it is relabel the power button where it doesn't say off, make it a power button, and then of course the ability to control RF devices. Now that might just be something I, you know, am interested in, but it would be really nice if you could go through here and be able to program devices like that. Now I will say another addition I think they should add is to really do a little bit more with the LCD. Again, this is very basic. When you select the device, it basically just shows the device is programmed. What I would really like to see is them take it a step forward, because when you're getting to custom programming, the issue here is you may not remember what you've programmed, right? Unless you say, all right, well, red, if you associate that with power and you know that, okay, that's probably power on all my devices, you may not remember that. So what I would really like to see them do in the future is to maybe do something with a little bit bigger of a display and maybe actually have these buttons listed where you can scroll through it, select them manually, but then also visually associate this with like these buttons. So if I go through here and I'm like, all right, I forget what did I program for power, and I go through here and I see, oh, there's a picture of a little red button here. It says power. I'll know, okay, this is the power button. It's just a nice way to refresh yourself with what you program these keys as, right? You know, other than that, if they made something fully LCD, which allow you to kind of use it like a phone, which brings me to the app. I'm sorry I can't show you this, but the app will actually show you all these buttons and allow you to use your phone to control your device as well. So if you don't want to use the remote, you can just open up the app and use your phone to control all your devices. So pretty cool. They've really added a lot of features into this device, and really for the most part kind of thought of everything. So I don't see the point in spending money on a $500 Logitech remote control when you have brands like this really making great products. And like I said, Sofabaton is a company that I've worked with in the past, and it seems like every time they come out with a remote, it gets better and better. So definitely check it out. Sofabaton X1. Definitely, I mean, like I said, if I was recommending a remote to somebody for the price, you really can't go wrong. And hopefully that 10% off coupon sticks around a little bit longer. That's it, folks. Let me know if you guys do have any questions. I want to thank Sofabaton for their generosity in sending me these products constantly. It's really great to be able to test this stuff out and use this for my home system. You know, it's always nice to get an extra remote because I have, again, so many TVs around. It doesn't hurt to have a backup, right? So this is great. This is something I've always wanted for my downstairs living room, the ability to control all these older components, you know. Again, when I go back to that Kenwood receiver, it's got an old school kind of LCD remote that's non-touchscreen, but you have a cursor. It is kind of a little clunky with selecting volume and going through and selecting devices, changing input. With this is great. I can select all the major buttons that I really use nowadays and just control. Like for instance, changing the track on a CD. You know, for you to change track on CD with that particular setup, you have to go into the cursor, select CD. It changes it to control that component. Then you have to move the cursor over to play, pause, track, advance. With this now, when I'm kicking back, listen to a little Lionel Richie, I can just hit the advance button. So pretty cool. A lot of remote controls you're going to get that are universal if you just get inexpensive remotes aren't going to have the ability to control those older components. So this is fantastic. One way or another, it's going to be able to control your components that, you know, maybe are, you know, again, old brands, you know, who knows what the situation is. So pretty awesome. So guys, thanks for watching the video. I do appreciate you taking the time to check it out. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Do subscribe to the channel and take care.